Ladies and gentlemen, the world just flipped upside down. The same man that they called Hitler, the same man that they said would start World War III, just ended one. In fact, moments ago, President Donald J. Trump, yes, the sitting president of the United States, confirmed what no so-called diplomat could do in decades. A full-scale peace deal between Israel and Hamas. And now the entire planet is reacting. In fact, from Malta's foreign minister nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize to world leaders scrambling to issue statements. The shockwaves are unstoppable, folks. CNN panels are falling apart live on air. Democrats are hiding from their cameras. And even Europe, yes, Europe is praising Trump's leadership. But this is not all, guys. In fact, the backlash inside the MAGA movement is just as explosive. Some are calling it his greatest achievement. Even, others are saying that it's the ultimate betrayal. And in the middle of it all, the United Nations just dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming. In fact, this isn't just politics anymore. This is biblical. So today I want to break down every second of how President Trump just pulled off the impossible, how the man that they swore was just a dictator just became a peacemaker, and why Democrats, the media, and the global elites, they're absolutely melting down. So buckle up, hit the like button, subscribe. I want to dive right into the story that has every newsroom in the world in utter disbelief right now. Folks, what just happened and why the world is stunned? I'll tell you why. At exactly 6:51 p.m. last night, President Donald J. Trump dropped a single Truth Social post that sent shockwaves through every foreign ministry on earth. And I'm going to go ahead and quote this, okay? Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. All hostages will be released. Israel will withdraw its troops to an agreed line. All parties will be treated fairly. Now let that sink in just for a second. Hostages home, troops pulled back, 1,700 Palestinian prisoners exchanged, all negotiated under Trump's watch. They say he's got the art of the deal, right? And he didn't do it alone. Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey served as mediators. This is something no administration could pull off under Biden's administration, but this isn't a one-off photo op. President Trump calls it phase one of a 20-point plan to rebuild trust, expand trade, and stop endless wars in the Middle East. It's diplomacy through strength, not weakness. And it just reestablished America as the deal maker of the planet. So within hours, reactions poured in from every corner of the globe. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called it a great day for Israel and for peace. Arab leaders from Cairo to Doha echoed the exact same line: relief, gratitude, and even admiration. And then came the headline that nobody expected. Malta's foreign minister formally nominated President Trump for the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, citing his decisive leadership in ending regional hostilities. Now, I want you to think about that for a second, okay? A European Union nationally, officially crediting Trump for peace. Now, across Europe, conservative and even centrist papers are praising the move, calling it the diplomatic upset of the century. Meanwhile, global markets ticked up, oil prices dipped, and humanitarian groups, they began preparing to move supplies into Gaza for the first time in years. So in just one night, President Trump, he flipped the global narrative from chaos to calm, from sanctions and rockets to signatures and relief. And as the applause grew overseas, Washington's political class completely lost it. Now, Medicare isn't as simple as, it's not as simple as it looks. I'll just be honest with you. It really isn't. In fact, calculus is probably simpler than Medicare. I mean, have you ever looked at all the different options in the fine print? Plans often hide costs inside the details, hoping you won't see them. Things like rising copays, your doctor's in network today, but your doctor's going to be out of network next month, and they don't tell you. Uncovered prescriptions until you go to get it for free and you realize, oh, it ain't free, got to pay for it. Network gaps, man, I can go on and on. This is why I partner with Chapter, because they uncover the hidden costs that are buried in your Medicare plan and they help you to avoid them. Now, Leslie, she thought her Medicare plan was fine, right up until Chapter showed her that she was wasting $1,000 a year. Now, I don't know about you, but I ain't trying to waste $1,000 a year. So let me ask you, are you okay with hidden costs, or will you do what most people are already doing, cutting them out? Now, most people, they're already dialing that phone number right there. You see that number right there? Yeah, they're calling that number already. And if they're not doing that, they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. And of course, it's a completely free phone call and free service for the Ron Yates community. That phone number there is 909-563-8279. Tell them your friend Ron says hello. All right, so back home, the reaction was nothing short of hysteria. CNN's anchors, they looked like they had seen a ghost. MSNBC's panel couldn't decide whether to laugh, cry, spin, go for a coffee break, go for a cut to commercial, right? The same people who spent years calling Trump a threat to democracy were suddenly forced to report without smiling, they had to do it seriously, that he had achieved what Joe Biden couldn't do in 4 years. On live TV, they had to do it. They had to say it. I mean, you could see the gears turning. How did he do this? One host muttered as the graphics department scrambled to find a headline that didn't sound like a phrase. Another panelist tried to credit lingering groundwork from the Biden team. But viewers weren't buying that nonsense. The audience knew the truth. Trump had just rewritten the playbook of diplomacy in real time. Clips went viral of anchors stammering through words like historic, unexpected, and my favorite one was undeniably significant. Now, for a news class addicted to outrage, admitting peace was pure agony for them. And as their voices cracked, like some prepubescent little boys, the White House phones rang off the hook because the Democrats had no idea how to spin this without admitting defeat. But hang on, guys, because not everybody was wearing a red hat. Not everybody wearing a red hat is celebrating. I'll be honest with you. Within hours, one MAGA-aligned congressman stepped in front of cameras and blasted the deal as negotiating with terrorists. What? I know. He argued that releasing 1,700 Palestinian prisoners for 20 hostages was a mistake, that Trump had gone too soft. Now, y'all let me know what you think. Was Trump right, or was this a mistake? Just drop a right or a mistake to let me know what you think on that one. Yet, even those skeptical voices really couldn't ignore the outcome. The rocket stopped, the hostages are coming home, and the world's talking about American leadership again. Now, in the end, this tension doesn't weaken Trump. It shows that his movement is big enough to argue and still win. Because while a few question the method, nobody could really deny the result of it. So, folks, this is really what the complete narrative collapse looks like. For nearly a decade, the Democrat establishment and the corporate media told America the exact same lie. Trump cannot be trusted on foreign policy. That's what they said. They mocked the Abraham Accords, sneered at the tariffs, called him reckless. They said that his America First doctrine would isolate us, destabilize allies, and ignite wars. But what do we see now? A peace plan that every so-called expert said was impossible, signed, sealed, and already reshaping the Middle East. Democrats who once filled cable shows with lectures about democratic norms, they're now silent. And they can't even tweet. They can't clap. They can't even fake a smile right now. The same pundits who said Trump was dangerous, they're now being asked the question that they were never prepared for. Well, what if he was right? And they never even considered that one. The party that weaponized outrage is out of ammo because when peace wins, propaganda dies. And every single liberal network just watched its favorite storyline disintegrate in real time. And that was painful for them to watch. So then came the headline that broke the internet, guys. Early this morning, Malta's foreign minister officially nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. The announcement was met with applause overseas and pure panic in Washington. Now think about that. The same European elite who mocked Trump 5 years ago, they're now putting his name beside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mother Teresa. Conservative outlets, they hailed it as justice. The Nobel Committee's phones lit up. World leaders issued congratulations. And the White House, well, they played it cool too. No gloating, no victory lap, just Trump saying, blessed are the peacemakers. But behind the scenes, Democrats are absolutely terrified because if Trump actually wins that Nobel, well, it doesn't just rewrite history. It erases the entire narrative that they've spent years trying to build. And so whether the committee caves to pressure or crowns him anyway, one thing's rather clear. Trump is now part of a conversation that no liberal in America ever wanted him to enter, the conversation about greatness. So the question that everyone's asking right now is simple. How did he do it? How did Donald J. Trump, the man who was banned from half the world's conferences, suddenly become the bridge between sworn enemies? I'll tell you what, it sure wasn't luck. It was leverage. When Israel struck Hamas leaders in Qatar last month, Trump didn't just condemn the violence. He forced Netanyahu to apologize and in the same breath offered a security guarantee to Qatar. That sent a clear message. This administration plays chess, not checkers. Then came the real magic. Trump used back channels through Turkey and Egypt, pressuring Hamas to engage, meanwhile simultaneously empowering moderate Arab militias in Gaza. But within days, Factions once loyal to Hamas began endorsing Trump's peace plan publicly, saying it was the first deal that treated both sides fairly. Wow. So in other words, Trump weaponized diplomacy, okay? He used power and respect as twin blades. And the result wasn't just a truce. It was the start of a total regional realignment under American influence. And that's the art of the deal in a global scale. Let's take a moment to appreciate the irony, shall we? For count on what, 8 years? The media told us that Trump was a dictator, he was a fascist, he's a warmonger, he's Hitler, he's this, he's that. They compared him to Hitler on late night TV, guys. They mocked his handshake diplomacy, his confidence, his unpredictability. And now, the so-called madman has become the world's leading peacemaker. The man that they said would destroy alliances is now expanding them. The danger to democracy is now being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by a European government. Even the most anti-Trump historians are now choking on their own sound bites. MSNBC's panels are spinning in circles, muttering about optics and timing, while the American people are seeing the truth with their own eyes. It's poetic justice. The louder they shouted tyrant, the more peace he built. And the world just witnessed the ultimate reversal. The man they tried to cancel now defines history itself. So now, as the dust settles, everyone's asking the same thing. Well, what's next? Because this isn't over. This is just the beginning. President Trump has already announced that he'll travel to the Middle East this weekend, addressing the Israeli Knesset and personally greeting the hostages as they're released. Can you imagine the images that are going to come out? Imagine Air Force One touching down, Trump shaking hands with families, cameras flashing as the man once branded dangerous delivers peace in person. It's almost like hand delivered. And remember, this is just phase one of a 20-point plan. Ladies and gentlemen, future phases reportedly include a regional trade alliance, joint security force, and new economic zones spanning Israel, Egypt, and Jordan. Some insiders are even calling it the Abraham Accords 2.0. But make no mistake, the stakes are enormous. If it holds, Trump could permanently reshape the balance of power in the Middle East. Now, if it fails, the globalist left will scream, well, we told you so. Either way, the world is watching, and President Trump holds the pen that writes the next chapter. So here's where you come in, okay? You're not just watching history. You're a part of it, really. I mean, the same people who voted, who prayed. Did anybody vote for President Trump? If you did, drop a 47 down below. And the same people who voted, who prayed and believed when the media laughed at them and laughed in your faces, you're the reason why this moment is even possible. I mean, think about it. The elites, they don't want you to feel that power. They want you to feel distracted. They want you to feel divided. And they want you to feel like you're too tired to notice that we are winning again. But right now, as world leaders salute President Trump and as the Nobel Committee weighs the unthinkable, the truth is crystal clear. The American people, they were right all along. So ask yourself, how far can this movement go if peace in the Middle East is now a reality? Like, what other impossible promises are about to come true? Right? I mean, drop your thoughts down below because I read them all. Do you believe President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize? If you do, just let me know. I want to hear from you. Or does this victory already speak for itself? Either way, folks, the world just changed. The globalists are panicking, and America, well, they're kind of scared about this, but we just getting started. Like, subscribe, share this video everywhere because this is one video they do not want the world to see. I'll see you next time.